in Europe, in the men's club game, they are far ahead of everybody else in the world. No disrespect to our friends in Brazil and Argentina, but that's just a fact, right? It's not the case in the women's game. I'm imagining the top teams in the NWSL could probably compete and maybe even beat with some regularity some of these top teams in Europe. Yeah. You tell me about Australia and it's called the W League, if I'm not mistaken, unless it's been rebranded.
It's been rebranded.
Oh, is it? There you go. What's it called now?
It's the A League. It's the A League women because it's the A League men as well. Okay. First season of it.
Gotcha.
Just wrapped up.
Okay. All right. So catching up
You're
there,
not
right?
too bad.
What about some sort of Club World Cup spectacular with all the big names there, where you could actually see the Thorns and the Rain go and take on Leon, and maybe the Rain versus Leon wouldn't be so much fun. That would be kind of in-house, but you know what I mean, right? And City and whatever, and the new team in LA that everybody's excited about. Something like that. I'm just talking about commercial viability, visibility, casual fans who say, man, that was fun. What's my local team? So I can go and watch in the pyramid that Sophie loves so much. No, just kidding. But you know where I'm going with this, right? What's your view on that? Is that viable?
Well, there's two things. Firstly, there's a couple of friendly tournaments, invitational whatnot that take place in the summer in the US that generally have sort of like a Manchester City or a Lyon. I think Barcelona last season were down in Louisville. Bayern Munich. You've got a couple of those, and they've sort of had the Thorns, and at one point North Carolina Courage beat Lyon, and everyone said, well, that's that done. But you've got misaligned seasons, so you've got French teams or English or German teams going over as they're right at the start of preseason versus American NWSL teams right in the middle of their season. So you've got that imbalance to begin with, but you've got a couple of these friendly tournaments which get a few more eyes on whatnot. But it does feel like there's a big campaign to push towards a Club World Cup, which again, carbon footprint is, but I think you always kind of have this issue of some teams will be in season and some won't, and some will probably have some ridiculous travel schedule that's going to exhaust them before they do anything.
Okay, but sorry, I take your point about in season, right? But that's the case. It's a globe, right? We have a southern hemisphere and northern hemisphere. That's the case in the men's game. It's the case with the women's World Cup. I mean, it's a case everywhere, right? That can't be the reason not to do it, right?
No, not at all. It's just it just feels like people want to make proclamations about teams, whereas there's never sort of the parity to compare them. And if you want to compare them, you never kind of have that opportunity. But say some do. You do have these sort of little mini tours about that happen over the summer. I think Louisville beat Bayern Munich, and I think it was PSG was that tournament last summer. So obviously Racing Louisville are the best team in the world because of that. No offense to Racing Louisville, but it's a strange one to watch because as you watch it, these players are just knackered because this is their first match back in, or whatever. But I think a Club World Cup is inevitable.
And is it good, or just inevitable?
I think it's inevitable.
Okay, all right. We figure out where you stand on that one, Jules.
I think it's been I like when big clubs meet each other. So I have to be honest here, and I would be very keen to watch the best US teams against the best European teams, that kind of stuff. I love it. I think a lot of people would. I think whether we like it or not, whether it fits in the calendar, which is already, as you said, super busy, and I get it. I think it will get more people watch it, and I think this is great. I think it's been an incredible year for women's football in the sense that we've got Euros, as we said, at the end of the season. Well, in the summer here in England, that's going to be great. Ada Hegerberg, for example, has gone back with Norway for the first time in 5 years, which I think is a great story. We've had a few quite high-profile players giving birth recently, and I think having to deal with that, and I think this is a really good thing for clubs also to adapt to some of their players at 28, 29, wanted to be a mother. I think is great. we've had some bad press in that sense with the Kira Amraoui and the whole that PSG mess, which I don't think is great for women's football. But hey, he happened.
But that's not really a women's football story anyway. Like,
well, it
people
is because
they happen to be women who are professional footballers.
I know, but still,
nothing to do with the. I mean, they could have been accountants.
No, I know, but it happened that they were footballers, and I just think this is an incredible year, and I don't know how you assess this year or this season, if you want to talk in season, but I just think that it's been great for the game, what we've seen in the last 8 or 10 months.
Are you as bullish as Jules?
I think it's been good, and I think you kind of need that as well after sort of the last 2 years everyone's had. That you need sort of that light at the end. So, we've got Euros, and people will be able to go to games and see all these teams, and hey, you can come to England and you can watch some football for the first time in a long time, because it felt like there was a massive pickup after the Women's World Cup in 2019. Obviously in America, definitely through parts of Europe, and more interested in, say, like Brazil and stuff. But then you hit the pandemic and everything gets a bit, it feels like everything is kind of, in football senses at the very least, there's a lot on the rise, and it feels a positive time to be involved in the game, and it's speeding up the growth as well. And by the look of it, the Euros, again, will give it another little kick along down the line. So it's to look forward to.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.